Ruth Okoye was like a very expensive, sharp diamond, beautiful, but tough and proud. Her father, Chief Emeka Okoye, was the richest builder in Nigeria, and Ruth was his only child. She got her arrogance from her father's wealth and also because her mother died when Ruth was born, leaving a big hole that Ruth filled with pride. Ruth was 21, very pretty, and famous at her college because of her money and bossy attitude. Everything she did was a way to look down on others. Her father was a hard worker and tried hard to teach Ruth to be humble, but it never worked. Ruth was training to be a civil engineer because her father wanted her to take over his big construction company. At school, she was rude, always showing off new expensive cars, designer clothes, and fancy hair. She was popular, but she only looked down on people she thought were poor or low class. The Okoye mansion was huge and luxurious, but it was a scary place for the house staff. Ruth treated the cooks, cleaners, and drivers very badly. She saw them as objects to serve her, and her talk to them was always mean and demanding. They were all terrified of her. Everything started to change one Tuesday morning when a new gateman started working. His name was Lucas. He was 25, tall, strong, and looked serious and thoughtful, not like a typical security guard. He had a quiet dignity that seemed too good for the uniform he wore. Ruth's first encounter with him showed exactly how horrible she was. She was rushing out in her G-Wagon. The electric gate was broken, and Lucas was struggling to push the heavy iron gate open by hand. Ruth started honking loudly. "Are you pushing or playing with that thing? Open it," she yelled. Lucas hurried to finish the job. As she drove through, she paused, rolling down her window so the dust from her tires settled on his shoes. "Do you know who I am? Next time you make me wait, even for 2 seconds, I'll have my father fire you. Do your job, poor man." Lucas just looked at her. He didn't look angry or scared, just calm. This lack of fear made Ruth even angrier. Every day, Ruth would find something wrong with Lucas: his uniform, his speed, his salute, anything to show him she was the boss. She called him names like gate post and dirt collector. One evening, after Ruth yelled at him for a long time over a small mistake, Lucas went to talk to Chief Okoye. "Sir," Lucas said respectfully, "I am thankful for the job, but I have to ask you to let me go." Chief Okoye, a smart man, leaned back in his chair. "Why, Lucas? Is the pay not enough?" "No, sir. Your daughter, Ruth, the way she treats me is too much. I respect myself too much to let her keep talking to me like that." Chief Okoye looked sad. "I know, son. Ruth is a big problem for me. But Lucas, I need a good man like you here. A man who is calm and strong. I see how the other staff are scared of her, but you don't flinch. That's why I hired you. Please, just try to handle it. I will give you double your pay for the stress, but I won't fire you." Lucas agreed, though he was still unhappy. The real big change happened a week later. Ruth had a terrible day at college and then went to a late party where she drank too much. She came home with a high fever and feeling sick. She staggered out of her car and walked toward the house, swaying badly. Lucas watched her closely from the gate. When she reached the main stairs, she suddenly felt dizzy. The room spun, Her legs gave out, and she fell hard onto the marble floor. The staff heard the loud crash and froze. They peeked around corners, afraid to help. They were too scared of Ruth to touch her, in case she woke up and accused them of something. Lucas was the only one who moved. He ran to her, checked her pulse, and saw her skin was burning. She was passed out. "Call the chief and the doctor," Lucas shouted, his voice strong, forcing the other staff to move. Then, Lucas gently picked up the heavy girl. Ruth felt light in his steady arms. He carried her up the big staircase, moving quickly but carefully. For the first time, he was close to her, feeling her warmth and smelling her perfume. He laid her on her huge, expensive bed. For the next 2 days, Lucas took care of her. The doctor said she had a bad virus and was exhausted. Chief Okoye was away on a business trip and trusted the house to take care of Ruth. No servant would go into Ruth's room because they were so afraid. Only Lucas did. He checked her fever, gave her medicine, and made sure she drank water. He brought her simple soup and toast. When she was awake, she tried to boss him around. "Get out. I don't need the gateman to look after me," she whispered, trying to sit up but falling back. "I am not feeling sorry for you, Miss Ruth," Lucas said calmly, sitting by the bed. "I am following the doctor's orders. Now, drink this." He held the cup of tea for her. She glared at him, but she was too weak to push away the kindness. He was efficient, gentle, and he didn't care about her angry looks. When she slept, Lucas sat and read a serious book about building. When she woke, he put it down. One afternoon, still weak, Ruth asked, "Why are you still here? Don't you have a gate to watch?" Lucas smiled, a real, warm smile that made his face shine. "The gate is fine, Miss Ruth. And right now, my job is to make sure the chief's daughter gets well. You are a person, and you are sick." To keep her mind off the pain, Lucas started telling her stories, not about himself, but about great buildings, the history of concrete, and African folk tales. Ruth complained, rolled her eyes, and made mean faces, but she listened. His voice was nice, his stories were smart, and the effort he made reached her sick, tired mind. For the first time, she was helpless, and the person helping her was the one she had treated the worst. While Lucas was telling her about a famous bridge, Ruth looked at him, truly looked at him, and saw not the uniform or the poor man, but a strong, kind, and smart man. A small, unfamiliar feeling started to grow in her cold heart. When her father came back, Ruth was better. She was quieter and thinking more. She even mumbled a thank you to Lucas for his help. It was the first time she had ever spoken a kind word to him. The change was happening deep inside her, started by the simple, kind actions of a man she thought was nothing. After she recovered, Ruth's behavior slowly kept changing. She was still rich and beautiful, but she didn't look down on people as much. She started to notice Lucas. She would slow down at the gate and say, "Good morning, Lucas," very awkwardly. The coldness between them had changed into a nervous, exciting tension. She was attracted to his quiet strength and how he stood up for himself without being rude. She was Ruth Okoye, who could have any man, but the man who had truly cared for her saw her as just her father's demanding daughter. She started making up reasons to talk to him. "Lucas, The door needs fixing, or, did you see my scarf? Silly excuses just to hear his voice. He stayed polite, professional, and serious. One evening, seeing him reading by the light of his small gatehouse lamp, she stopped her car. "What book are you reading tonight, Lucas?" He showed her the cover. Structures, or Why Things Don't Fall Down, a serious engineering book. Ruth was confused. "That's a civil engineering book. Why are you reading that?" Lucas looked straight at her, finally sharing a secret part of his life. "Because, Miss Ruth, I also have a degree in civil engineering. I just haven't been able to find a proper job yet." This news hit Ruth hard. He wasn't just a guard. He was educated, her equal, just going through a difficult time. The pride that protected her heart instantly cracked. It was replaced by a strong feeling of respect and, frighteningly, a deep, new feeling, love. The Ice Queen was melting, and Lucas, the handsome Gateman, was the unexpected fire that started it. Knowing that Lucas was a qualified civil engineer changed everything for Ruth. Her relationship with him changed from boss-servant to something much more exciting and secret. Ruth was now completely in love. Her heart was no longer cold. It was confused and beating quickly. She finally saw how terrible her behavior had been. She, the girl who only got ahead because of her father, had been insulting a graduate who was working hard at a tough job. This realization made her want to change completely. Ruth's change was obvious. She stopped yelling at the house staff. She started saying, "Thank you." She even apologized to Mama Dupe, the old cook she had been mean to before. The servants were surprised and started whispering about the miracle of Lucas. But Ruth only cared about Lucas. She tried to get his attention more and more. She started leaving her civil engineering textbooks near the gatehouse, hoping to get him to talk about work. One Sunday, Lucas saw her struggling with a very hard school problem. He stopped, seeing she was truly trying. "Miss Ruth, if you treat the beam as simply supported and split the loads, the math gets easier." Ruth looked up, her face excited. "Show me." He helped her, not like a teacher, but like a smart friend. They leaned over the table, their heads close, his finger tracing the lines on the paper. The closeness and the smart talk were the best distractions. Their connection was strong and immediate, based on shared knowledge and his past kindness to her when she was cruel. That night, Ruth waited until the house was totally dark. She sneaked out of her big room and went quietly to Lucas's small security quarters. She knocked softly. Lucas opened the door, his eyes wide with surprise and fear. "Miss Ruth, what are you doing here? If your father sees you." She stepped inside and stopped him from finishing. Her eyes showed the strong emotion she felt. "I'm here because I can't sleep. I'm here because I treated you terribly, and you were the only person who saw me at my worst and still treated me with kindness." She reached up and touched his face. "I'm not the cold girl anymore, Lucas. You changed me. I am in love with you." Lucas gasped. He was attracted to her too, but he knew this could cause big trouble and cost him his job. But he believed in her change, and her feelings felt honest. He gently closed the door. The moment they kissed, it was clear. Their love wasn't about money or status. It was a strong, unexpected bond between two people, one who had everything but needed goodness, and one who had little but was full of character. Their love became their secret. Sometimes, Ruth sneaked Lucas into her huge room after midnight. They talked for hours about engineering and their future, and then they made love quietly and passionately. Other times, Ruth sneaked into Lucas's simple, small room, finding a true comfort there that her mansion didn't offer. Chief Okoye, who was a sharp man, noticed the huge change in his daughter. She was happy, polite, and even nice to the house staff. She had truly become a good person. He thought she was just growing up or maybe had a good friend at school, never thinking it was the quiet Gateman. But secrets don't last forever. One Saturday morning, Chief Okoye went to talk to Lucas about security near the kitchen. Lucas's door was slightly open. He heard soft laughter and then his daughter's voice, sounding close and loving. He pushed the door open and saw Ruth and Lucas sitting close together on the small bed. Lucas was wearing a t-shirt. Ruth was in one of his shirts, her legs touching his. They jumped up immediately, Lucas shaking with fear, Ruth blushing but standing strong. A huge silence filled the room. Lucas stepped forward, ready to take the blame and quit. Chief Okoye, sir, I am sorry. This is my fault. Please, I understand if you fire me. Chief Okoye held up his hand, stopping him. He looked from Lucas's scared face to Ruth's loving and determined one. He saw the true, life-changing happiness in his daughter's eyes, a light he had never seen before. He smiled slowly. My daughter is happier than I have ever seen her, Lucas. I am a modern man, and I believe love can happen anywhere. But a man who can make my daughter this happy deserves more than a security salary. He turned to Lucas, already thinking like a boss. You are a graduate, yes. Civil engineering, yes, sir. Top marks from the University of Lagos, Lucas answered, his voice gaining confidence. Good, Chief Okoye said. We have a new project starting next week. You start Monday. I want you on my engineering team, Lucas. I need good people. You'll start with a good salary and you can prove yourself. Ruth rushed to her father and hugged him tightly, full of thankfulness. Lucas was shocked, then bowed. Thank you, sir. I will do my best. With her father's approval and Lucas's new important job, their love became open and stronger. Lucas was excellent at the construction company, and Ruth was proud of him, studying hard, and supporting him in everything. The final sign of Ruth's change was a picnic she planned. They sat under a big tree, the air smelling of flowers, not at a fancy restaurant, but on a simple blanket, sharing food Ruth had made herself. Lucas pulled her close, his arms strong around her. You know, I thought you were the coldest woman in the world when I met you. Ruth laughed happily. And I thought you were just a low-class guard. We were both so wrong. She looked into his eyes. The man who had changed her, saved her, and loved her. He bent his head, and their lips met in a deep, passionate kiss, starting their new life together.